So in the state of Washington, right now there's a bill called 2114 in the House. I think it passed the House and it's going to the Senate at the moment. And I just want to break down the pros and the cons of this specific bill if you are planning to invest in the state of Washington. Now, as you know, Washington's already a not a landlord friendly state. It's more of a tenant friendly state, which to be honest, is fine. The rules, as I know it, vary specifically from city to city, municipality. For instance, the city of Spokane has certain rules, the city of Spokane Valley has different rules. Now, it looks like under this bill, the city of Spokane rules are going to be more statewide, which will then be imposed on the city of Spokane Valley and Liberty Lake and whatnot, if that makes sense, and more of at a county level as well. So just going through this, it's interesting. I had ChatGPT give me a summary as well, but we can just go through this section by section. They state that there's a housing crisis in the state, and this is to prevent rent increases year over year because during the last couple of years, because of the influx of people, there's a higher demand, and therefore there was people charged more plus inflation and all of that stuff as well. Right here, it literally states outpaces. It's they say the increase rate outpaced inflation, but you also have to realize that there was um, on top of wage growth, inflation growth, the cost of living went up. Everything's been up. Everything's more expensive now. This is the reality of the state of Washington. Down here, they say increases were $100 to $500 more, 900% increase. Well, so was everything else in real estate. You know, 900,000 renters experienced an increase. Was 75% reported an increase of greater than $100 to $500. And that doesn't surprise me. And I think that, because interest rates went up on real estate, you have to increase rents to justify that investment, first of all. Second of all, because of the cost of the rehab on the real estate, the cost of living for everybody else that works in the industry has gone up. The cost for your the cost for you as a landlord, taxes have increased, property management expenses have increased, and so therefore those get passed down to the consumer. And now you have to this the problem is that this entire bill, I get it, they're trying to do something good, but it's going to have a very bad effect. And one thing I do want to mention is that anytime fees from the state level or city level get imposed on a landlord, they get passed down to the tenant. For the city of Spokane, we are required to pay $15 a year and have two inspections of the residents of the house and have a business license as well. Business license costs money, reporting costs money, it's more time, and the $15 and all that stuff gets passed down to the tenant through their rent. So this is why rent is increasing. Okay. Um, it also includes mobile home parks as well. Let's see here. Um, Arbitrary one-time fees. I don't know what. I mean, I'm sure there's a reason for those. I don't think that investors aren't stupid. Usually don't do stuff for no reason. There's usually a reason behind that. 1 in 4 renters is over the age of 55. They said there's a racial issue as well. Um, yep. That's interesting. Extensive rent increases force renter households, including families, seniors, and young people, to lose housing opportunities. So the problem with rent control right now is that they're going to they're limiting how much you can increase per year to about 7% per year maximum. And if you increase more than 3%, then the renter has the opportunity to cancel their lease with like a 30-day notice or something like that. There's a bunch of stuff in the fine print here. Now, the problem is when a renter leaves, that rent price is going to be a lot higher than 7%. It's probably going to be 10% more or 15% more. So let's say you're paying $1,000 a month right now. You can, as a landlord, you can only increase 7% a year. So that's what's $70. So 2026, you're paying 1,070. But if you leave because rent was increased more than 3%, that same apartment is going to come back on the market at $1,500 a month. And so you really didn't solve a problem here. You just made rents more expensive because there is an issue with supply and demand, and now you just increase rents anyways because of that rule. I can see that happening for sure. Let's see what else it says. Um, Result in harm for millions of people. Blah blah blah. Yeah, leave it up to the government to solve the problem. Um, Preserve public peace, health, safety. It's for your safety. Yep, transparency. There's no issue with transparency. That's fine. The issue is when they say it's for public peace, health, and safety. Uh, yeah, yeah, and this is really going to push the prices of Idaho real estate through the roof. So you guys just made every real estate investor in Idaho a shit ton of money by doing this. And probably Oregon as well. I don't know what Oregon's specific rules are. Okay, let's get into this document a little bit more. May not increase rent, fees combined, blah, blah, blah. Regardless of whether the tenant is month to month or a term greater than a month to month period, may not increase rent and fees combined for any type of tenancy. What type of fees? Bruh, it doesn't make sense. It makes sense, but I don't know how that would benefit either party by having this law. Landlord may not charge higher rent or fees or include terms of payment other than material conditions in a rental agreement. Yeah, that's why it's called a rental agreement. That's okay, obvious. Damages. Um, you cannot report a tenant to a tenant screening provider for failing to pay rent or fees that were unlawfully increased in violation of this section. Yeah, it's unlawful. Why would you report that? Um, okay, so I guess they're giving local governments a little bit of authority. It's unclear how much. Certificate of occupancy for dwelling unit issued in the last 10 years or less. So there's a lot of like technical stuff. So this is really going to increase the property management component and expenses. And as soon as the property management expenses are increased, they're going to find a way to charge more to help comply with all these. This is insane. Gives us some technical wording to say your landlord can raise rent and fees combined once every 12 months by up to 5% as allowed in section 101 of this act. So I was wrong. It's not 7%, it's 5%. What if inflation is higher than 5%? Um, oh, there's an exemption here. And what does this exemption say? Any exemptions in here are going to be completely, I'd say, used to their fullest extent. Landlord intends to raise rent. Your total rent increase will be present in total. Well, you okay? That makes sense. public housing authority, public development authority, nonprofit. Yeah, I mean, I would suggest you guys run through this on your own. Um, this law is still, it's not law yet, but it's definitely a bill that's might be passed soon. Um, but yeah, it's definitely interesting. I did highlight something in here. Landlord charges tenant any move-in fees or security deposit. The move-in fees and security deposit combined may not exceed 1 month's rent. So you can't charge a first and a last. Sounds like. Um, yeah, yeah. Trust account. That's normal. Yeah, there's like other rules where it's really not a 12-month lease anymore. They're just giving more reasons why a tenant can break their lease. And one of those is if you increase rent, the tenant can break the lease. But usually yeah, there's some technical things here. May not charge higher fees, including terms of payment, that are more than burdensome to the tenant for month-to-month rental agreement. Like what does that even mean? Anyways, let's just go to chat. Chat broke it down. Pros. So pros. Caps on rent up to 5% annually. Providing predictability and housing stability for renters. Correct. For current renters. Um, Prevents increases within the first 12 months of tenancy. Okay. Uh, Protection for vulnerable populations, senior, low-income housing, um, communities of color. That's that's like a law, anyways. Aims to reduce displacement due to unaffordable rent hikes. The problem is, yeah, transparency stuff. If increases exceed 3%, we have to give 180-day notice. Justify for increases. Tenant may terminate increases if they increase by more than 3%, but you're only allowed to go up 5% a year. So you're basically just, that doesn't even make sense. Um, Protects tenants from eviction or credit damage due to unlawful rent hikes. So yeah, what if they just don't pay? So that could be an issue here. So I guess you could just probably live there for free. Landlord accountability, violate rent controls. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Cons: reduction in housing supply. That's for sure. It's gonna disincentivize new construction for sure. Reduce flexibility for landlords. 100% true. Administrative burden. I got into that earlier with the project management side of things. You're gonna have more hoops and paperwork you're gonna have to do, which therefore costs more money, which therefore makes you question why you would want to invest in the state of Washington, anyways. Economic impact on maintenance and quality. So this is interesting as well, because you have to, you're gonna have to squeeze your budget because you can't cope with inflation and whatnot. Therefore, you can't spend as much money to keep the property nice. So that's going to be interesting. Um, yeah, any loopholes. This is going to be interesting to see what happens here. How many people create nonprofits and all of that. Yeah, there was some language in there about stuff newer than 10 years, or having a occupancy permit within the last 10 years. There's some different rules there. So changes between the existing rules and this law. Landlords cannot increase rent more than 5%. Applies to all month to month and or fixed term, um, unless it's been issued in the last, unless it's a new property within the last 10 years, or it's operated by a housing authority nonprofit. Yeah, there you go. So I can guarantee you there's going to be a lot of nonprofits that are starting to own real estate, and or there's going to be a lot more people on affordable housing agreements now, or applying for that as on the landlord side to get their buildings qualified for affordable housing, and then you don't really have to cope with that 5%. Sounds like. Um, 60-day rule to 180 days increases of 3% or more than 180 days. So I guess you can increase 1%, but not wait 180 days, but wait 60 days, 60-day notice. Some change of documents. Termination. Tenants can terminate leases without penalty if you increase 3% or more, I'm guessing, per year. Or, yeah, that'd have to be with every 180 days. So, yeah, this is just not good for landlords. 20-day notice, 30 days for mobile home parks termination. So, I mean, that's fair. That's that's fine. It just creates instability on the landlord's end. But I mean, yeah, I mean, as a landlord myself, if somebody wanted to break their lease in 30 days, I would talk about it. If they're signing on a 1 year lease. So, I mean, that just really, I don't really have an issue with this. It's just how they do it, right? If you increase 3% or more. Late fees capped at $10 a month. So that's interesting. Um, so that incentivizes you to pay late, I guess. Move-in fees and deposit cannot exceed 1 month's rent, and so this is going to be the problem. Your rent prices in general are just going to double. I guarantee it. Within the next, if this law goes through, I guarantee it. Within the next 1 year, as soon as all these leases they have to renew, or they're going to have to leave and find a new place. When they leave and find a new place, that apartment is going to be double the rent. You can't control that. I mean, it would just be, you can't control that part of things. And that's where the problems, I'm going to see, this could be good. This could be good for landlords. Um, but it could also be very bad. Um, illegal rent increases as a defense against eviction and credit reporting. So this just comes into more of the administrative stuff. Make sure you have all your ducks in a row and you have all the right paperwork and all the right notices and all that stuff. So just find a good property manager that knows what the hell they're doing, that understands this new rule. Consumer Protection Act. Um, I mean, yeah, I mean, we're not trying to do anything illegal. We're just trying to make the numbers make sense. Um, yeah, so we'll see. Uh, yeah, so we have templates from the Attorney General of Washington. That's great. So yeah, we'll see what happens with this new bill. We can run through here and see if anything pops out at us. So this just gives us specific information of how to write that rent increase. Maybe exempt, limit on reasons described in 202 of this act. You can raise rent more than the maximums if your housing authority, public development, nonprofit. Yeah, this is so the problem with doing rent control on affordable housing in itself makes it not affordable. and and it's just a numbers game, right? Because if inflation and the cost of living and the cost of house prices goes up 10% and you can only do a 5% increase per year, therefore it doesn't make sense to have those specific rates. So when that person goes out and you have a new person coming in, you're double. I mean, I just told you before, you're doubling. You just doubled rents. Um, and then you also just made people not want to invest here because why would you, as an entrepreneur, I don't know why you'd want. What's the incentive? Just other fees that have to do with being a landlord passed down to the tenant. Like I said, the $15 a month or the $15 a year. That's just going to be built into the rents now because you can't charge those fees, like your application fee and whatnot. There are going to be loopholes I can see coming up for excessive application fees that don't necessarily have anything to do with the actual rent. So I can see that could probably be an issue. Um, okay, we got an exemption for armed forces. Great, that's totally fine. They move a lot, don't they? I mean, that's kind of an obvious rule there. Yep, tenant may terminate the agreement. Yeah, tenant owns pro rata through that date from 20 days onward or whatever, 20 or 30 days. I think it's 30 days for mobile home and 20 days for a different an apartment, let's say. Yeah, this is insane. Um, so to combat the extra admin fees, you're going to see an increase in uh, application fees. 'Cause I think right now they might be free, but that's going to be a way to offset that expense on the landlord is just charging it through the property management company because of this right here. Yeah, trust account, it's normal. Looks like they've been revising this. Let's see what they took out. All monies paid in excess of 2 months' rent in a mobile home lot to landlord by the tenant as a deposit. That's interesting. So deposit that's 2 months or more should be in an interest accruing account. They don't even make enough interest for it to pay the admin fee for the account. Um, Mobile home space. This is interesting. You are going to see a lot of issues with mobile homes. I can foresee this. Additional charges in mobile home parks. Yeah. Yeah, this is just a little bit more details on mobile home parks specifically. It looks like I am looking at purchasing mobile home park. I probably won't be looking in Washington. Now, I do feel like there's going to be some more RV parks being built to get around all of this because RVs are not mobile homes, obviously, and you can charge whatever the hell you want. So, if you want an RV park in the state of Washington, I'd probably keep that because I don't know if this RV parks fall into this category here. So, it might be a good loophole. Um, okay, well, that's normal. Um, I think they're just trying to kill mobile home parks. Is what I think, and they're like the most affordable form of housing, anyways. Yeah, entrance fee, exit fee. Yeah, I mean, this is this is going to be interesting to see what happens with this bill here. Um, I think if we go, I have to go back here. Pre-filed January 3rd, and now we're March 7th. Resolution returned to the House for a third reading. So they're going back and forth. Um, yeah, this is going to be interesting for sure. Yeah, just keep in mind there are some pros, but honestly, this just killed affordable housing in the state of Washington, and just just wait a year or two. When all these leases come to an end and they have to move out, they're going to be finding a new place, and there's going to be a demand, and the price of housing is going to increase, and you're going to see a lot of properties for sale as well, probably in the state of Washington. So I don't know. I don't think this is necessarily a good thing. I can see how they think that it's a good thing, but I definitely don't think that this would be something that's helpful in our current state and time, to combat affordable housing. Now, if we wanted to really combat affordable housing, cut regulation, really decrease regulation, and find a way to um, allow options for to build easier, right? Which we're restricting our building right now. So I'm also going to probably see a lot smaller units, smaller apartments coming on board in the new construction space that are charging the same price as a larger apartment. So I'd say all of your one bedroom, one baths up to your two bedroom, one bath, those are probably going to cost the same as a three, four bedroom. Um, but yeah, only time will tell. We will see. I could be wrong. So we'll stay on top of it, and hopefully it works. We'll see.